So let's get started. So George, we're just going to take a look today on how to evaluate a small multifamily or single family home rather than using a very big, more advanced technique like market blank underwriting tool. In this case, we go ahead and use BiggerPockets. That is the one I recommend the most. So I'm going to go and share my screen currently, and then we're going to go over it.
Let's do it.
Can you see?
I can.
Okay. So we're just going to do it in real time. Okay. So let's just say you're looking for apartment complex in your area. You go to realtor.com. Okay. Although we do not generally recommend that you buy things off the market, we prefer you get off market deals.
Right.
But as a beginner, you can find some deals, especially if you find the property is being on the market for a long period of time. So people's eyes are off it now. Let's say the deal is on the market for the past 6 months. You could be able to negotiate it down from the prior price. So those are the ones I look for on the market.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can find something that other people are not seeing.
Right. Right. I remember that with commercial properties as well, like LoopNet. You know, they say LoopNet is tough to find some properties, but every now and then people have found good deals on LoopNet, like you said, that have been on the market for a while. Another thing to realize is you need repetitions of underwriting and evaluating. So why not evaluate the on-market deals as a comparison and to get the muscle memory, get your systems down for how to, underwrite these deals. So still some value in looking at these on-market, platforms.
That's actually true. That's exactly right. I do underwrite a lot on Craigslist just to get, to continue the muscle memory to do that. And also, try to see if there's something that other people are not seeing, or if it's in my area, I'm able to analyze it better. Yep. To see like, okay, yes, this area is a class B, but it's close to like a class A, perhaps, if we fix it, looks like those class A, it's just by the corner, and we might be able to get the rent for that. And most people are looking at it as a class C properties that are like, for example, the one we got in Tulsa, it's like at the corner of 2 streets. So on one side like this, it's a class C, right? And then on the other side over there is class B. There's nice brick houses. And on this side, there was like about 2 mobile homes that mess everything up. So, but because it's at the junction, we were actually able to renovate it very nicely so that it looks more like the one on that other side.
Right.
And we've priced it as B. And so far, we'll be able to rent it that way.
Sure.
So that's just something else that you might look at. So let's get back to, realtor.com. So, we change to multifamily. You can go over here, click, what you're looking for. We don't do single family, but you could. So you click, multifamily and look at multiple deals that are available. I will recommend BiggerPockets for deals from 1 to 4 units for sure, which is not considered like real multifamily. You can still get loans for 4 units and under as like a single family kind of a loan. So it's not commercial yet. However, I have used it for my 8plex in the past. So you can use it also for like much smaller deals. But if you're starting to do like GPLP split, then that's going to be difficult. But it's a very good one to get started.
Any particular reason why it starts to get difficult, or it just doesn't work quite as well as your unit size goes up?
Because often it's just because the way you analyze the deal has to do with how you're increasing the rent. Over here, you can only increase the rent like maybe one time, 3%. So you can't be like 5% now, then 3% later. You can't really put a split, because oftentimes when you get a multi-family that is bigger, you're usually buying with, other people's money or different kind of debt structure. It doesn't have the debt structure either. You could make an argument to use it for even a large property if it's just your property, and you just want to kind of take a quick look at the, cash on cash return or the cap rate, or, what kind of return it's going to give you over time. Also, the way the bigger properties, I feel like a small mistake in number lead to a bigger either loss or gain, right?
Right.
So just a 1% move in the number, you cannot titrate BiggerPockets to the granular level. As a result, when you do the analysis and you put like 5%, or instead of 4%, it will lead to like a very exaggerated upper number.
Like the downstream effect.
Yeah, it's just too much.
Will be larger.
And I want to also say that everything I do is often based on personal experience. And, a little bit, I do read a lot, and I talk to other operators. And
that's good. We got to get that habit of just like literally hit record and just say the disclaimer.
Okay, true. We need to do that definitely. But we're learning, we're moving. Yep. So I found this one, for me, because I know my area, when I see something, quickly I can already know, if it's like something that is at least reasonable.
Right.
So I see like a 2,900 square foot for $279,000, 1994 build. So the only thing, and I was already assuming because of the doors, is at least a 3 units, and there's upstairs. So I'm not sure how many units. So let's read up. So you go to property details. So it says triplex, right? Triplex. So two bedroom, 1 bath,
1.5.
Yeah, and 1.5. I'm not sure which one is which one is the 2. So it seems like they write it properly. So I'm going to just assume at this point, 2 of the 2 bedroom. Okay, so let's just say that's it. That's the information we have for now. So we go to, BiggerPockets.com. So ideally, this is a paid service, so you have to pay for it. And if you're a member of a group, there's a chance that you can have like a kind of a group option to be able to use the calculator. But usually, so when you go there, you log in, and you go under tools. Okay, when you go under tools, there's going to be multiple different type of calculator, and we're going to maybe in the future do a different one. But this one is going to just be a rental property calculator, because it says it's already occupied the way it is currently. So it's going to be this. If you're trying to do fix and flip, BRRRR, or rehab, you can do a different thing. You can do a wholesale. So I almost always use the rental property calculator. I've tried the fix and flip calculator also. So let's do the rental property calculator. You click, start a new report. Okay. So it did ask for some of this information, and I'm going to fill them out only just so that I can remember this particular deal, personally. So I'm going to put the address in there. If you want to, you can give it a different name that you like. Another reason to actually put the right address, the actual address, sometimes is because it can estimate the rent for you.
Wow, that's nice. Is that just, I assume, unique to their software?
Yes, you have to, of course, verify.
Sure.
Okay. but they do, what I have found in the past is sometimes when he estimated as a 1 unit. So we just say like 900. So we're going to see what this one says. So Quincy Street. Okay. And then, so you're going to put your purchase price. So I always want to start with whatever price it was listed at. So 278,000. 278,000. Okay. Closing cost. It's different from, for everyone. I know our closing cost is about 1% in this town. And usually I have relationship with people, with title companies. So you could be able to do it, at a cheaper price. But the general estimate, the best assumption is to use 1.5%. Okay. So, so you just go 1.5%. So that's going to be 4,185, right?
You can do 0.015 times 279,000. You'll get, and you can just adjust for the decimal place.
I know right now. Yeah.
Okay.
4,000. Yeah. It's funny. I actually have a mathematics degree. So 4185.
And then just because we're being this detailed, you can go back up to the purchase price field and adjust it to 279. I think you put 278. I got a question right here. I know one of the software I used to use, and I don't use it anymore because I only bought one house when I used it. I haven't bought a single family house since then, back in 2017. But some of the fields you can navigate through either with like entry in dollars or in percentages. Was that the case here? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Unfortunately, this one does not provide this particular one, but there are some part of it we're going to see later that is by percentage.
Okay. Cool.
You could just put the percentage there.
Okay. You can toggle and choose which one you want to. Okay.
So I'm going to assume we're not doing any rehab. Obviously you can add some rehab. It does ask you, what do you think appreciation is going to be like? If you know your area, like for example, Tulsa is growing at 5%, for the past 3 years. But as a general rule, I'm going to say 3% is, reasonable. Okay. So I say 3% is usually reasonable in most markets. So I'll leave it as 3%. So now this is your loan details. So you want to decide how your loan is going to be. This one, you could just easily text your, a banker. It's good to have few banker friends that you could text, or every few weeks, just know what's going on in the market. Like we have a Physician Dad real estate group, right? Which we talk about rates almost every single day over there. So we, so because this is a 3-unit, you can get a more favorable interest rate. The commercial interest rate is usually higher. So right now, people are getting between 6 to 7% on single family to low, like maybe duplexes. But once you start getting to like 5 units and above, they're going to give you the commercial rate. And that's still as high as 8%.
And is that like a national number, or is that regional, like a regional market, sub-market?
I would say it's a little bit regional in a way, but it's going to be between 0.5 of each other.
Okay.
Mostly, it's going to be very hard for you to find a 6% or even a 6.5% commercial currently. Whereas you can get a 6% if you really push hard for single family homes right now. So let's try 6.5, right? So they ask about point charged, I will assume none. And then term loan for this kind of 3 units and below is usually 30 years. Okay, that we have to do a little bit of work on that, right? So you could either use Rentometer But like I was talking to you earlier, that I've actually found Rentometer to be wrong. Oftentimes, I know what these apartments are. I know what they can rent for because they're close to my area. I know they're rent between, maybe 850 to 950. I know that. But now let's see what Rentometer is going to give to us.
While you pull that up, what are some other platforms that you can use to compare?
I use apartment.com. I actually do like that. I just put the address. Chances are this particular property is already listed in apartment.com or somewhere online, right? How they're renting it. And oftentimes apartment.com do clone other people's kind of numbers. Like let's say you advertise it on a different platform, apartment.com would take it and then put it there for like, what the price is. So we have that. So bed.
So you don't use Chat GPT?
I have not tried Chat GPT, but I would like to see. It will make my work easier. I wrote a blog post with Chat GPT. I didn't get any bad feedback so far on that blog post. I posted it on my blog. I think it's like 6 reasons why physicians should invest in multifamily.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Okay, you know what? This is not too bad. Okay, so looking at these numbers, so it says average of about 1,000. Median number looks like it's more correct here. So I would say 900. It's reasonable. Okay, so actually that was a good job. So now apartment.com, let's see if it's listed at all or there's something close by. So it's listed some few ones, like this Jenny one, it's similar, it's close to the area, but it's more like a bigger apartment complex. So it's like, $795. You can see a 2-bedroom, 1 bath here, $950. So it's within the range. That's fine. So we can use the 900.
Yeah, it looks reasonable.
Yeah. So now it's going to be multiplied by 3 now, right? So that is 27. Income growth, I usually put 3%. In our offices, we've been doing rent escalation of 5% in my class A area. But in this kind of class B, it looks like C plus B minus kind of the way it looks, okay, and that area. So I think 3% is reasonable if you're trying to increase a $900 rent by 3%. So that's only like $27 or something like that. It's like so small. The chances that someone's going to move for $27 next year is low.
Yeah.
So 3%, pretty good. So property tax, I will caution people about just using the last year property tax. Okay. You can find it online and we'll be able to find it right now. Then I'm going to give you the caveats to that. We go back to realtor.com. So we go down under we're going to find some tax information, property history. So this helps you to at least know what has this gone for in the past many years. And not much. So, somebody's trying to sell it all this time. Doesn't seem like, they finally sold it in 2021 for $225. Somebody tried to sell it for $246. So it's been random between $200K and, $279. So it really has not really moved that much. So that means the tax actually is going to be accurate in this case. It's going to be very close. Because what happened is we bought the 33 unit in Tulsa, right? And the person that bought it 5 years before bought it for like $1 million, right? So they were paying tax and the tax increases by just a little bit every year. So when we bought it, the first year, of course, we pay like half of the tax because we closed like middle of the year. So we pay like half of the tax of that person that they already estimated them as. So it was, cheaper, but our tax almost doubled, right? Because of the, now it's $2.2 million. So in this case, though, you can just go and you find the information. As you can see, there's not a lot of change it was assessed 2,100, 2,200, either way, so we can just pick like an average number. I'm going to pick like 2,100, okay? And that's actually quite pretty good. And another way to estimate property tax is to call the city or your county assessor and tell them how do they assess it. And for us, they have given us a number for like multifamily of like 0.07%. So basically, if you buy a property, so let's use some example here and let's see what this falls into. So, they say for multifamily, so 0.7, so it's 0.07%. So yeah, so right about that. So 0.7%. So divided by 100 now. So sorry, 0.7%.
Like 10.
So if you buy a $2 million property, so it's 0.007. So don't so like a $2.2 million property, right? Yeah, so it's gonna be like 15,000 ish.
Right.
So, and that's I think it was 14,000 for the one that we bought. That's like 22,000, but more or less. So they gave you a formula. So just ask them what's the formula in your area, and they will tell you the formula. Funny enough, this is the same formula for insurance. So it's like 0.7% to 0.8%. So that's what it is for our area. And I remember we got a self-storage in Houston, Pearland, and I remember the calculation was like 1.3, something like that, 1.3%.
Yeah, they're higher. Sure.
So the insurance was higher, actually.
We have no state tax here in Texas, so.
Yeah, I know, right? So they get you somewhere else. Yep. So 2,100. Okay. Repair and maintenance. Usually it's based on how old the property look. If you have evaluated the property, you can, try to look at the pictures, but of course I will not advise because everybody will put the best picture, the best lighting. I will assume you've at least have a Zoom because, sometimes you have like someone that goes in there with a Zoom, take a look at it for you, or you can go physically to take a look. So, but let's take a look at the insides. Okay, so, it looks like oldish, but it doesn't look it's like broken, Okay, so that's the best we can get. Okay. So you always know when you don't see a lot of pictures. So they're not too proud of that property. So repair and maintenance, I usually put it between 5 to 10% is the best. But if it's already occupied, and I'm usually put 5%. If it's already occupied, so it can't be that bad. Okay. So and for vacancy, I always
Quick question: is that 5% in next to the field there? Is that their recommendation? Like what is that number next to repairs and maintenance?
No, I just put it myself right now.
That came up after you got it. I didn't notice.
Yeah. So you can just put whatever you feel like. I mean, obviously you want to underwrite conservatively,
right? But
usually in the repairs, it's not where I'm, the most conservative. I'm more conservative in the capex.
I think I asked that. I didn't realize it came up after you put it in, and I know the calculator that I was using, they actually came with some recommendations. And maybe that's because I got it from a realtor who sent me maybe his copy, and he pre-loaded it with some recommendations for like some of these estimates on expenses. So, I mean,
that would be nice. Do you remember what the repair estimate was on that?
I'll take a look and see if it's up. I still got the program. I'll let you keep going while I look that up.
Okay, perfect. And then the next is vacancy. And, you know, from 5 to 10%, you know, for this kind of area and class C plus, it's almost never vacant. And that's because of the, you know, the clientele. You know, think about the pyramid, right? So the class A is the bottom of the pyramid, you know, and at the top of the pyramid, sorry, the class C at the bottom, okay, or C plus, so that there's so many people that are looking for affordable housing, you know, something like $900, whereas down the street, you know, in a B plus neighborhood, they'll be paying 1,200, 1,300. So this is a matter of affordability. So I was actually think the vacancy over here can be like 5% over here. Okay?
Yeah, I'm looking at my app. They, with the expenses, they didn't build in the recommendations, but they actually built it in for the vacancy. They built in 5% as well. And I think it's adjustable. You can go in and adjust based on the different market. But it just seems like an efficiency step. You know, if you have a certain market that you keep looking in, you can build in some of these expected values. So
that's definitely very useful. What's the name? What's the name of the app?
It's called Property Evaluator, and I can share it.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely another option. Do you have to pay for it, or is it like something you pay once and for all? Or
I think it's one time, you know, because I received it. It was kind of like a gift from a mentor, but it's not a subscription, if that's what you mean.
Okay. So that might be good for people, you know, but there's also other advantages.
I could share it with people.
Hey, let's say, you know, it was a gift, you know.
Pay it forward.
So I think the other thing about BiggerPocket is, you know, you are getting value from it anyways. I actually don't think it was a bad idea, especially in the beginning, to get BiggerPocket and even, you know, get a subscription, to be honest, you know, so you can, you know, go on the forums, talk, discuss, talk to people, message people, and build your team. You can find your local people here, you know. I find like agents, I find like contractors, and, you know, people like, you know, they're like, oh, I live close to you. And then I message them, we meet up, and, you know, we talk about the project.
So you're saying this could have been used like something to drive traffic to the rest of the site?
Yes, we might have.
Smart.
Okay.
You're a businessman.
Right. So this is CapEx, and CapEx could be, you know, I put 10% only because CapEx is something that I feel like if you make a mistake, you could get hurt really good. Like, you know, if you know, don't estimate your roof properly, and the insurance that they have before, you know, do not cover like a hail damage or something before you bought it, and then you bought it now, and if you ask your insurance that you just got, they will go and do analysis. They're like, oh, it's already have a hail damage before us, so you're not going to be able to cover that roof. So so I'd put like a good percentage to start putting it aside, you know, every single month for your CapEx expenditure. So for something that doesn't look as nice, like class A, I think 10 is reasonable. So, and then management fees, you should know your market. I know what they take. Over here, if you have a lot of properties, obviously your numbers will be lower. Most markets is between 8 and 10. I've had some people paying 12%, but that's insane. But you know, we could do range, so we're gonna just use 10%. Okay. I always let people pay all the bills. Okay. If they don't now, I will do rubs for them to pay it, or, you know, or I just split the meters. But also like in Fort Smith, it's usually assumed that you're going to be paying your own utilities. Okay. Oftentimes this doesn't have like HOA fees, but if there is, you have to add it to it, $70, So let's just leave it as that. And so that's about it. So main thing is just to know your assumptions, where to get your numbers, who to call, and let's finish the analysis.
Really quickly, anything on legal or professional fees? I think we talked about cleaning and maintenance, insurance, repairs, taxes, utilities. So the only other one I'm curious about is anything with legal and professional fees.
Yeah, like you asked the question early on also, in terms of why don't I use it for higher number of properties? That's part of it. Yeah. When you're buying like a triplex, I mean, I don't go through any lawyers or anybody. I just buy it straight, the realtor, and I try to do as much due diligence as I can. And oftentimes you don't need a advanced team to take this one down.
Yeah.
But when we buy like all these like 129 units, we have to get we spend almost like $20,000, getting the documents ready, getting the lawyers to review it at the end, so we have to make sure everything is done properly. And but there's just less things to look at.
Yeah.
So I usually will not assume. I think it's overkill to do so for this. Okay. So, it gives us a number. So, it does give us, let's say, monthly cash flow, $129 a month. And it will tell you can see like when things was going to change. First year, your cash on cash return has improved a little bit. Second year, still not looking that great. Third year, finally, maybe fourth year, you're finally reaching the number that is reasonable. And it took you about 5 years to really, so obviously you're not going to buy this at this current price. So that's what it tells you. So let's go back to 0. So 5 years annualized return, still reasonable, interestingly, but you're going to be cash on cash poor, so it's based on the sale price, talks about your mortgage. So, these are your assumptions. You can actually change some of your assumptions here. Some of them are easy to change here, but oftentimes I like to go to the edits and just kind of play with the number a little bit more. But you could, so the purchase price would be the main thing here to change. So let's say I want to change my purchase price to $250. Okay, so this is the kind of return in many syndications nowadays.
Yep.
So for me, it would make no sense for me to buy this property actively, right? While I'm just going to get like a kind of syndication 6 to 7% cash on cash, you know what I mean? And 19% average return. When I can do a syndication that is passive, I think the one reason I can think of is if you absolutely want to have better control.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
You want to be a landlord, if you want your own personal portfolio,
Yes. And I do have a personal portfolio. And at the same time, I do syndications also. So I'm not happy with that number still.
So I noticed the expenses were adjusting with the purchase price. I couldn't see if it was going up or down, but I saw the total cash needed was adjusting, which makes sense, right?
Okay, so let's look at the expenses, 22,324. Now let's go change it. Yeah, you're right. So now let's go to, we can go back to the edit and see why it changed. Mm-hmm. So, it talks about some of your expenses.
Maybe.
I think some of it might be the, okay, I know what it is. The closing cost, is based on the value of the property oftentimes. So if your property is going down, your closing cost will also overall be much lower. So yeah, so we have all that. One of that thing is if that it also gives you here is the 50% rule. There's that 50% rule of to analyze the property, just like the 1% rule, is if you find the property, what's the monthly income divided by 2, and you can use that almost like your NOI kind of a thing. So as a result, so if 50% rule still give you a little bit of cash flow, it might be worth looking into. Okay, but we've already went down on this number so much that it doesn't even make sense. So purchase price at 220. So if we go back to how much they sold it for a while back, it was like exactly 220-ish. So it seems like they have made no progress on this property because they could force that. That's another thing. Different between buying all these triplexes and single family homes is that the price of your property is linked to the price of other properties around it. But a higher multifamily, you're mute.
Sorry, I was just saying, I was going to say what you were about to say. It's multifamily is based on your NOI instead of your comps.
Yes, even though this is calculating NOI, but 4 units and below, you can use it, but it's not really as useful. So like you can see, these are listed price between 209 all the way to 279 in the past 2 or 3 years. And, so, this person is basically going to break even.
Right.
So not even break even, actually, unless they're really cash flowing a lot, right? It's probably going to be at a loss, right? Because you have to pay 6% real estate agent fee now.
On the sale.
Yeah, and then this closing cost is usually split also between buyer and seller, often 50-50. So anyway, so this is it. And then it shows you, let's say you want to sell it. If you buy it at 227 or 220, based on our 3% increase, it tells you at 5 years, if you sell it, your profit will be like about 79,000. But how much are you going to sell it for? It's estimating that you should be able to sell it for $255K. So, overall, this deal is just meh. It's very mediocre.
It's valuable because you ran through the process.
Yes.
What about
and yeah. So, do you have any questions? Something to add?
Can you plug in cash out refis in this model?
No.
Is that the BRRRR? That's the BRRRR
calculator. Okay. You can go try the BRRRR, But even that though, but I can estimate it in my head. Like for you look good at how much money do you actually have to cash out refi? Let's say your number is what you have. So in how many years do you want to cash out refi? 5 years?
Yeah, let's go 5.
Okay. So it's worth only 250 something now, and then loan balance is 164. So the difference, is like that kind of close to like 90K also, right? So the max you can get, you still have to get I think usually about 80%. You still have to have the 80% of the value of the property. So I don't think you can pull out the law.
No.
Based on this.
Based on these numbers, right?
Based on these numbers, But the good thing is, actually, the total cash needed to close this deal is 48,000. Hey, maybe that changes it. Yeah. So, and then you might be able to get back your 48,000 for sure. You know what I mean? So you can just get back your money that you put in, and then let it ride.
Right, infinite return.
Yeah, infinite return, but it take a long time for you to be able to get that money. It's going to probably get up to the way I'm looking at it, probably year 4.
And who knows what CapEx can hit you before that?
Yes, that's the problem. The problem with these smaller properties is one capex can wipe out all the returns for 1 year, and also one vacancy. Oftentimes there's no problem with the vacancy, but let's say you're trying to do some repair and you find some mold or something that just delay you significantly, or like you have to change some structure and you have to get a city permit or something like that that takes a while, then you're empty for 2-3 months, and that will definitely wipe out your profit for that year. So
good job, man. This was awesome. We're at the hour.
Okay, that's it. Well,
good.